Chapter 1879. I've come to take you home. However, at this moment, Lu Yinyin only felt suffocated. It was as if she would be buried in Feng Chen's hands in the next second. Her eyes were filled with tears, and she was stubbornly gazing at him. Perhaps until now, Lu Yinyin still did not believe that Feng Chen would really want to kill her, Chainer. Suddenly, a voice came from the sky not far away. In this instant, Lu Yinyin felt the hand that grabbed her neck stiffen for a moment, and slowly, he let her go. Lu Yinyin fell to the ground, and the feeling of being able to breathe made her gulp desperately for air. Her face was no longer red. She looked up slowly in the direction where the voice had just come. In a moment, a stunning figure appeared. She was stunned seeing that face. Now I know why Master Feng cannot forget her. All men would fall in love with such a stunningly beautiful girl. Feng Ruqing stopped. Her grip on Xiao's small hand gradually loosened as she walked toward Feng Chen. Nan Xian watched Feng Ruqing's approach and did not stop her. He did not know how the demon had entered Feng Chen's body, but he knew the way to make Feng Chen recover. The only way. Feng Ruqing stood before Feng Chen. The young man's eyes were still red, and his face was stained with blood from the battle before. Chainer, I'm sorry that I found you so late. I'm sorry. She walked toward the young man, her gaze filled with guilt. If she could have found Chainer earlier, perhaps Chainer would not have become so. When she was in Huaxia, it was always Chainer who was protecting her. After coming to this mainland, similarly, he was also struggling to protect her. So, in the future, it must be her who protected him instead. Boom! Powerful energy surged out, and a storm picked up around the young man's body. He raised the sword in his hand and pointed it at the person in front of him. This was the first time Feng Chen pointed his sword at her. Even though he did not make any more moves to hurt her, this action still made Feng Ruqing's heart ache for a moment. It was not that Feng Chen had turned his sword on her that hurt her, but me for extra chapters. It was because she did not protect him well and let him suffer too much alone. Chainer, I am Feng Ruqing. Feng Ruqing raised her hand and grabbed the tip of his sword that was stretched out in front of her. Do you still remember all that we experienced in Sangyu mainland? Do you still remember? The first time we met. She was not talking about the first time they met in Sangyu mainland. It was the moment her stepmother brought the young man to their house when she was in Huaxia. Feng Chen clutched the long sword hard, trembling. He then held his head tightly as pain suddenly attacked him. He could not think of anything, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to kill all those people. And kill anyone who stopped him from killing them too. However, the voice in front of him was too familiar. It was so familiar that it penetrated his soul and brought a sense of familiarity to his mind. Chainer, Feng Ruqing raised her eyes. Her gaze was as firm as it was back then. I've come to take you home. Chapter 1880. I've come to take you home. Lu Yinyin was stunned. She looked at Feng Ruqing and then looked at Nan Xian, who stood in the sky and did not make any movements. Feng Ruqing and Master Feng are so close, is he not jealous? Lu Yinyin did not know the relationship between Feng Chen and Feng Ruqing, and she thought it a coincidence that they shared a family name. The demon had grown inside Feng Chen's body when he knew Feng Ruqing's whereabouts. He was afraid of hurting her, so he did not dare to meet her. Therefore, he did not tell Lu Yinyin anything about his life. Otherwise, Lu Yinyin would find Feng Ruqing. So, Lu Yinyin had always thought that Feng Ruqing was the girl Feng Chen loved but had married someone else as Feng Chen sent his men to watch her secretly. The young man looked up and stared hard at the woman in front of him. Perhaps the sword was too sharp that blood seeped from the woman's palm. It felt like a needle ruthlessly stuck in the young man's heart. Chinger, Nan Xian landed next to Feng Ruqing. He gently pressed her hand that was clutching the long sword. Let go. The only person who could make Feng Qin regain his sanity was Feng Ruqing. However, he would not allow Feng Ruqing to do something that hurt herself. Chainer. Feng Ruqing looked up a little at Feng Qin. The sword is in your hand. If you really don't even recognize me anymore, you can use it to hurt me. I won't resist, after all, it's me who failed to protect you. If I had found you earlier, you wouldn't have turned out like this. Lu Yining wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and stood up from the ground. She sneered and looked at Feng Ruqing. It is indeed your fault that he became like this. Nan Xian glanced at Lu Yining coldly. His eyes were cold, filled with murderous intent. However, he did not dare to leave Feng Ruqing's side, afraid that Feng Ruqing would do something to hurt herself for Feng Qin. He can't get angry, let alone use his spiritual power. Otherwise, the demon will grow stronger and take over his body. Lu Yining said coldly, but because of you. Because of all the situations that happened to you. He was angry all the time. He could not control his emotion. Initially, your husband was able to seal the demon for him temporarily. If it were not for your accident, they would not have left so anxiously. It's you who has turned him into the devil. Do you know how many people he has killed for you? Feng Ruqing looked at Lu Yining coldly, and once again turned to Feng Qin. She came to take Feng Qin with her, only that mattered to her now. She had no time to deal with others. Me for extra chapters. Chainer, Feng Ruqing smiled faintly. Look, Xia has grown so big, and I've found our grandfather. Father and mother are waiting for us. Our family will soon be reunited. Chainer, let's go home. Lu Yining froze. Our grandfather. Father and mother. What does Feng Ruqing mean by these words? What does her grandfather have to do with Master Feng? Isn't Master Feng's family not here? Uncle, Xia pounced toward Feng Qin and hugged his leg tightly. There was no fear on her adorable face. Chapter 1881, I've come to take you home. 3 Uncle, Mother will be sad if you continue to be like this. Xia doesn't want Mother to be sad. If Mother is unhappy, our whole family will not be happy. Uncle. Lu Yinyan's breathing grew heavy. Her face paled as she took a few steps back. Why did Feng Ruqing's daughter call him uncle? Qing, the young man lowered his eyes and looked at Feng Ruqing's face. Qing. Tears almost fell from her eyes. However, she held it back. Yes. I'm here. Qing, the long sword slipped out of the young man's hand. His heart ached as his eyes fell upon Feng Ruqing's bleeding palm. Qing, he kept murmuring her name. It seemed that he could only remember her name. Feng Ruqing raised her hand and pulled the young man into her arms. He's so thin now. I don't know what he has gone through in the past 2 years. Chainer, come home with me. All right, the young man's voice was a little hoarse, and he looked at Feng Ruqing unblinkingly. Master Feng. Lu Yining panicked and dashed up, trying to block the way. Master Feng, what about me? You promised my grandfather. He promised to take care of her for the rest of her life. Feng Ruqing looked at Lu Yining with a puzzled gaze. She frowned. Chainer, who is she? Feng Qin looked at Lu Yining and shook his head. I don't know her. You don't know her? Feng Ruqing was stunned and pointed to Nan Xian. Who is he? Do you still remember him? Feng Qin looked puzzled. He raised his eyes to look at Nan Xian, pondered for a short while. I don't remember him. Feng Ruqing froze. So Chainer does not know anyone except me. Nan Xian took out a bottle of spiritual liquid from somewhere and applied it to Feng Ruqing's palm. The wound in her palm healed at speed, visible to the naked eye. Me for extra chapters. Chinger, take Chainer away now. I have some things to take care of. I'll catch up soon. Alright, Feng Ruching did not ask more questions. She took Xia Xia's hand with one hand and grabbed Feng Chen with the other, smiling faintly. Chainer, let's go home first. Feng Chen nodded obediently, like a child, and followed Feng Ruching. A smile appeared on his face. The smile was warm like the spring breeze. Nan Xian turned to Lu Yinyin after Feng Ruching and Feng Chen had left. He walked toward her slowly. His cold face made her heart panic. Lu Yinyin trembled, and she seemed somewhat frightened as she looked at Nan Xian. Nan Xian was expressionless. First, you stopped me from leaving, but I stayed to save Feng Chen. Then, you tried to stop Feng Chen and me from saving Chinger, but I was in a hurry to get to her, so I didn't have time to deal with you. This is the third time you have tried to stop us again, and, Nan Xian sounded indifferent. You spoke ill of Chinger. Chapter 1882. No one is allowed to insult her. Her body trembled harder as Nan Xian walked toward her. She looked up at the man standing in front of her with a pale face. These days, Feng Chen is indeed in a bad state, but to me, he did nothing wrong. He didn't kill the innocents. The ones he killed were the ones who almost killed Chinger. Lu Yinyin bit her lip hard. But he has gotten his revenge. There is no need to kill everyone. If Master Feng were healthy, he would never have killed so many people. Nan Xian's face was cold, expressionless. How well do you know Feng Chen? Back then, he did not know that Chinger was his own sister. He could disregard everything for her. He abandoned his adoptive parents and fought for her against the world. Do you think you truly know him? Do you think Feng Chen would not kill those people who hurt her when he recovers? The man's white robe rippled in the breeze. His voice was cold. He had no mercy on people who hurt Feng Ruching. Just like Tianya, all people in this mainland knew that Tianya was an upstanding man. However, once he had someone to protect, he would give up all his righteousness for her. Lu Yinyin's face was pale. No, I know Master Feng. He's a kind man and will not kill at will. That's because no one has ever offended Chinger. If someone offends her, all the integrity will be left behind. I don't care what relationship you once had with Feng Chen or who asked Feng Chen to take care of you. I will never allow anyone to humiliate Chinger. I believe that Feng Chen will not forgive you for this. Lu Yinyin looked down and clenched her fists tightly. Master Feng did not tell me that she's his sister. So what if she is, and so what if she isn't? Even if she's not Feng Chen's sister, you've no right to insult her. Nan Xian raised her sleeve, and a light flashed, instantly causing Lu Yinyin's body to be lifted from the ground. Her body trembled, and her courage to even stand up disappeared. I just felt sorry for Master Feng. I didn't mean anything else. After all, what has happened to Master Feng was all because of her, really. Nan Xian sneered. Tianya's men have already checked. The reason why the demon got into his body in the first place was because of you. You touched the demon, and when Feng Chen saved you, it entered his body. Lu Yinyin was stunned. She stared at Nan Xian blankly, unable to say a word. Me for extra chapters. What makes you think it was Chinger who harmed him? Why didn't you ever think it was your own doing? Nan Xian moved closer to Lu Yinyin. I knew that your grandfather saved Feng Chen. He had repaid the gratitude when he saved you from the demon seed. He owes you nothing. Feng Chen always keeps his promises, so he still kept you around to take care of you. Feng Chen was Chinger's brother. So, he would not allow anyone to take advantage of Feng Qin. Your ignorance has put him in harm's way, and you have put all the blame on Qing'er. I won't hurt you for Feng Qin's sake, but you are not allowed to appear in his life ever again from now on. Otherwise, he raised his hand and chopped a tree by the road. It fell to the ground with a loud thud. You'll become like this tree. Nan Xian turned away without so much as a second glance and disappeared with the breeze after saying that. Chapter 1883. Going home. Lu Yining froze to the spot, staring in the direction where Nan Xian left. She understood that she had lost Feng Qin forever. Lu Yining lowered her head, tears flowed down and soaked the ground before her. She did not understand why this happened to her after what she had done for Feng Qin. They did not understand how much she loved Feng Qin, and now they would not let her get close to him again. She had never felt jealous of Feng Ruqing. She just wanted to take a look at her, to see how good the girl who was always in Feng Qin's heart. She did everything because she didn't want him to get hurt. She only hoped that he could live well, and watching him from afar was already enough for her, deep in the forest. Nan Xian raised his hand and wrapped his arm around Feng Ruqing's waist. He smiled and looked at her gently. Qing'er, let's go home. All right, Feng Ruqing smiled. Where did you go just now? Just dealing with some personal matters. Now that it's done, we can go home. He did not turn around again. All of them ignored Lu Yining in the distance and gradually disappeared under the night. In these past 2 years, the mainland had been burnt. Feng Chen's ruthlessness had terrified the world, especially those forces that attacked Tianya's manor. They were even more panicked. Most of them had died, only the remaining 10 all ran into Nan City. That was the only place where they could hide for the time being. In Tianya's manor, Sui smiled faintly as she turned to look at the old man next to her. Father, your body should have almost recovered recently. Ha! Indeed, but my strength has not recovered for the time being. Old Master Nan laughed out loud. He never thought that he would live comfortably after Nan Fong had taken over the Nan family. Especially nowadays, Sui could still accompany him. Don't worry. You will get your strength back sooner or later, but... Father, you've sacrificed a lot for the Nan family. I don't want the Nan family to fall into Nan Fang's hands. I will go get it back later. I'd rather destroy the whole Nan family than give it to me for extra chapters. Sui lowered her eyes, a cold light with strong murderous intent flashed in her eyes. This was the first time that Sui showed such an expression in front of old Master Nan. He froze for a moment, stared at Sui, and smiled bitterly. Sui, it's all my fault. If I hadn't brought that ungrateful child into our house, this wouldn't have happened. Yes, it was all because of him. Sui smiled faintly and shook her head. It's all right, Father. I will still go back to the Nan family. Your body needs to recover completely. Qing'er has been in a coma for the past 2 years, unable to treat you. Now that Qing'er has returned, I believe that with her ability, you will recover your strength soon. Hearing these words, old Master Nan also quietly sighed in relief. He also wished to recover quickly, but he did not want to pressure Sui and the girls. When Sui was done speaking, she looked up and coincidentally saw Feng Ruqing walking with Nan Xian. She was holding a cute little girl, followed by a young man with eyes as clear as water. Chapter 1884. Going home. 2-inch Qing'er. Sui was happy, and she hurriedly welcomed her. You guys are back. Feng Ruqing smiled faintly. Sui, I will take Qing'er around first. Oh, where is grandfather? He hasn't come back yet. Oh, Feng Ruqing smiled and turned to Feng Qin. She extended her hand to him, her voice was clear just as it was before. Qing'er, let's go. Feng Chen was slightly stunned but still, put his hand in her palm. It was as if only the young girl in front of him would make him feel at ease. Nan Xian stood behind Feng Ruqing, looking at the two who were already walking away. A smile broke upon his handsome face. Nan Xian, Sui withdrew her gaze and turned to Nan Xian. How is Feng Qin? Nan Xian shook his head. He does not remember anyone except Qing'er. Sui frowned. What can Qing'er do then? Qing'er will not leave him alone. If there is a way, she will definitely help him recover. The man stood with one hand on his back, facing the breeze. His gaze turned gentle as he smiled warmly. Inside Tianya's manor, Feng Ruqing held Feng Chen's hand gently as she led him through the corridor, trying to make him familiarize himself with every blade of grass and tree in this place. Chainer, this will be our home from now on. The master in this place is our grandfather. You will meet him later. Feng Chen was slightly stunned. He looked up at Feng Ruqing. But, I just want you. Feng Ruqing patted Feng Chen's shoulder and said helplessly, Chainer, he's our grandfather, so you must respect him. Can you understand? Feng Chen answered with some resignation in his voice, all right. Hearing Feng Chen agreeing with her, Feng Ruqing smiled as she withdrew her gaze from him. It's good that you understand. Oh, I seem to have forgotten something. On this journey, she always felt that something was missing, but she could not remember. Me for extra chapters. Suddenly, Feng Ruqing seemed to remember something, and she slapped her forehead violently. How could she forget the two little ones, Fu Chen and Qing Han? So, upon remembering these two little ones, Feng Ruqing immediately released them from the medium. The moment Qing Han saw Feng Ruqing, her eyes turned red, she cried out as if in pain and bounced toward her. Mother! I thought you didn't want us anymore, her voice filled with tears. No one knew how much she had spent these 2 years in fear and terror. She knew the person that her mother saw when she was unconscious was not the state preceptor, but she had no way to tell her mother and could only watch her sink into it. Fu Chen's eyes were also a little red. Since they met Feng Ruqing, they had never been apart for such a long time. Feng Ruqing was unconscious for 2 years, and they lived in sorrow for 2 years. Qing Han did not even eat any spirit herb within these 2 years as she had no appetite. Looking at these two little ones, Feng Ruqing guiltily pulled them into her arms, hugging their tiny bodies tightly, as if this could give them some comfort. Qing Han's face was still pale, and her eyes filled with tears. She thought that her mother did not want her anymore and had locked them up for 2 years. Chapter 1885, Going Home If Feng Ruqing did not lock them up in the medium back then. They, at least, could accompany her and wait for her to wake up. Sorry for making you worry again. I won't lock you up again next time. Qing Han's tears fell like rain. You said the same thing the last time. Feng Ruqing was speechless. She cleared her throat a little. I promise, it will never happen again. Qing Han's eyelashes fluttered for a moment before she slowly raised her head. Really? Emichim, next time, she would not give anyone the chance to hurt her again. Alright, then I'll trust you one more time. Qing Han was still clinging to Feng Ruqing's body. Despite these words, she was still reluctant to let go of her hand, seemingly not quite trusting her mother. Fu Chen, Feng Ruqing turned to look at Fu Chen. The devil-possessed Chainer, and now he has become a demon. He lost his memory. I don't know if I can help him recover. Fu Chen fell silent. After half a second, he raised his head. Big Black can help him. Big Black. Well, Big Black's blood can temporarily control his demonic nature, and he will not go crazy for the time being, but if you want to remove the demon inside his body completely, that is not so simple. Let me think about it. There must be a way to help him. All right. Feng Ruqing looked up at Fu Chen. Where did Big Black go? Why haven't I seen him? I don't know. Fu Chen was locked up in the medium for 2 years, and within these 2 years, the connection between the medium and the outside world was also cut off by Feng Ruqing. So, he did not know where Big Black had gone now. I got it. You guys help me watch Chainer. I'll be back. Feng Ruqing assuredly handed Feng Chen to Fu Chen and Qing Han, and she turned to leave. She ran into the White Phoenix as she walked toward the entrance gate. The moment the White Phoenix saw Feng Ruqing, its heart flashed with joy and flew toward her. Little Qing. I finally see you again. Feng Ruqing kicked the White Phoenix 3 meters away, her face darkened. You stay away from me, or I'll tell Sui. The White Phoenix's face stiffened. It was just too excited to see Feng Ruqing, and almost could not control itself at once. White Phoenix, fortunately, Feng Ruqing quickly changed the topic. Have you seen Big Black? Oh, you mean the dragon. It followed Tianya to Nan City. Why are you looking for it, me for extra chapters? Well, can you go there for me now and help me get Big Black back, and tell grandfather that I'm awake? When she woke up, Tianya had already gone out and had not returned for several days. And she was in a hurry to find Feng Chen, so she did not look for Tianya. Now since she had returned, it was time to discuss what would happen. She would never give the people who attacked General Manor another chance. Whether those who had come to take Tang Yin or the Nan family or Nine Gate. They should all pay the price they deserve. A cold light flashed in Feng Ruqing's eyes. She smirked. All right, I'll go now. After hearing Feng Ruqing's words, the White Phoenix turned around and flew toward the sky. It was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it had disappeared into the sky. Feng Ruqing looked in the direction the White Phoenix went, slowly turned around, and headed toward the backyard. Chapter 1886, Going Home 4 Outside Nan City. Tianya stood calmly with one hand resting on his back. A black dragon hovered in the sky, looking down at the people below coldly. Where is Nan Fong? Tell him to get out. Tianya's voice was cold, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. A group of guards stood outside Nan City. They looked at the old man in red robes in the sky with caution in their gazes. 2 years. This old man's strength seemed to have improved a lot again. Now that their master wanted to deal with Tianya, it might take even more time. Master is not in the city, the guard said expressionlessly. Tianya sneered. Oh, then I'll go in and see whether this bastard is here or not. Tianya raised his hand, and a long sword appeared out of thin air. The bitterly cold wind blew relentlessly, filling the whole city gate area with a cold aura. However, without waiting for Tianya to strike, a strobe of white light burst through the sky and landed in front of him and Big Black. Big Black saw the White Phoenix at a glance. It was stunned and asked, Why are you here? Aren't you supposed to be at home guarding little Nine? What are you doing here? The White Phoenix, who was perhaps running all the way wildly here and looked a little out of breath, did not even glance at Big Black before turning to look at Tianya. Little Qing is awake. In fact, Feng Ruqing had already woken up a few days ago, but she had gone out to find Feng Chen, so they did not tell Tianya. Now that Feng Ruqing had brought Feng Chen back with her, they should come to inform Tianya. Tianya's hand holding the long sword trembled. He suddenly stepped forward and grabbed the White Phoenix. What did you just say? Qing'er woke up. Ha 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 ha. Qing'er has finally woken up. Tianya laughed out wildly. No one knew how he had spent the past 2 years, but he could not accompany her and wait for her to wake up like the others. He had to go and avenge her. Therefore, he forced himself to leave General Manor and came to settle the score with the Nan family. Now Feng Ruching had finally woken up. Nan Fong is lucky today. I'll let him go now, but I'll be back soon. Seeing his precious granddaughter was important now. Tianya did not stay any longer. His body moved as fast as the wind. In a moment, he had disappeared into the sky. Big Black froze, its heart filled with incomparable excitement. Me for extra chapters. It looked at the tightly closed city gate behind it and stayed no longer. It flew into the sky and disappeared, too. The entire city gate instantly fell silent. Even those guards of Nan City were a little dumbfounded. Just a moment ago, Tianya was so aggressive. How come he had run away in the blink of an eye? However, they did not think any more as they turned around and closed the gate. They had to hurry to their master to report this matter. Inside Nan Manor's study room, Nan Fong sat calmly and expressionlessly. His face was cold and serious, and the wind around him was bitterly cold. Master. The guard hurried in and knelt in front of Nan Fong. Tianya and Black Dragon have left. Left? Nan Fong frowned. With Tianya's character, how could he leave just like that? It seems like he left because Feng Ruching has woken up. Feng Ruching, this name made Nan Fong tremble with rage. It's her and Nan Xian who came and took my Sui from me, he would never forget that. Chapter 1887. The person behind Nan Fong Ai Wei Rong walked in from outside the study room, and she could not help but smile coldly as she saw Nan Fang's darkened face. Are you thinking about Nan Sui again? Nan Fong frowned and glanced at Wei Rong expressionlessly. This has nothing to do with you. Just do your job. Do my job. Wei Rong sneered. My husband is thinking about other women all day long. How can I sit back and do nothing? Nan Fong, do not forget how you once courted me, and do not forget that Sui even has a son. Do you want this kind of impure woman too? Shut up. Nan Fong snapped, red in the face with veins bulging around his forehead. Get out. Wei Rong looked at Nan Fong. Her eyes had turned from the initial anger to calmness. This time, she did not say another word and simply turned around to walk out. Nan Fong clenched his fists tightly. Marrying Sui was a dream he had since he was young. However, he did not really love her. It was just that this woman had always fought him, and he had never gotten her. So, he just wanted to fulfill this dream. Guard! Nan Fong shouted coldly. Within a few moments, a guard stood in front of Nan Fong, respectfully. Yes, master. How is Nan Luo? A cold light flashed in his eyes, a light that made people shudder a little. Master, young lady is not very well. I'll go meet her. Within a small, remote courtyard, fallen leaves were drifting about. This place looked somewhat lonely. There was a wooden house that looked simpler than the other courtyards of the Nan family. Nan Luo wore a white dress, curled up in bed, her messy hair draped over her shoulders, and her eyes were filled with panic. Creak. Me for extra chapters. The door was pushed open. Nan Luo looked up. After looking at the middle-aged man standing in the doorway, she panicked and hurriedly took a few steps backward. Father, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please don't hit me. Please. Nan Fong stood with one hand on his back. His eyes were sharp and fierce, like a long sword, making Nan Luo tremble harder. She never knew that her father could be so terrifying to such an extent. When Nan Fong treated her as a daughter, she was the most respectful young lady of the Nan family, but she was even worse than a servant once she made Nan Fong unhappy. Nan Luo, do you know what you've done? Nan Luo raised her eyes in horror. I shouldn't hide in Tianya's manor and ignore you. Father, I know I was wrong. Please let me go. Tears fell from her eyes, her face was pale, and her voice trembled a bit when she spoke. Bang! Nan Fong suddenly stepped forward and kicked Nan Luo in her chest, sending her flying straight out. Her body hit the wall. Her tears flowed again from the pain. What exactly is wrong with you? His face darkened as he picked up Nan Luo's lapel with a hand. Nan Fong was like the devil from hell. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Nan Luo bit her lip hard, tears fell like rain. I shouldn't have thoughts about Nan Xian. Chapter 1888. The person behind Nan Fong Nan Xian was Si's son, and Nan Fong hated him. Therefore, she should not have thoughts about Nan Xian, let alone try to betray her father for him. It looks like you still don't know your mistake. Nan Fong picked up Nan Luo's lapel and dragged her to her knees in front of him, he sneered. At first, when your mother scolded you, Si backed you up, so she was clearly soft on you. But why is Si suddenly disgusted with you? You were soft to her and did not drug her. Later, you lost her trust, and she ran away from me. It's all your fault. Nan Luo was dumbfounded, her tears were pouring as she said, It's not me. It's Feng Ruqing's fault. Feng Ruqing. Nan Fong pulled Nan Luo fiercely, his face remained expressionless. Tell me. Nan Luo gathered the courage to look up, her face was pale. Aunt Sui had promised to take me away, but Feng Ruqing knew that I have a feeling for Nan Xian. She hated me, so she forbade Aunt Sui to take me. Father, it really has nothing to do with me. Feng Ruqing talked bad about me in front of Aunt Sui. I can do nothing. Nan Fong let go of his hand and sneered. Most of the spirit beasts in Spirit Beast Mountain were taken away by this woman, and she has also snatched Sui from me. She ruined my plan. Seeing that Nan Fong believed her words, Nan Luo let out a sigh of relief. She then looked at Nan Fong timidly, her voice was weak. Father, it's not that I don't want to contact you, but Feng Ruqing has sent her men to watch me. I don't have a chance to reach the Nan family. I'm afraid that if she finds out, I will be kicked out of Tianya's manor. Nan Luo staggered from the bed and knelt in front of Nan Fong, her voice was tinged with sobs. How could I betray you? Moreover, if father gets Aunt Sui, I can also get Nan Xian. But Feng Ruqing did not allow Aunt Sui to keep me. I have a miserable life in Tianya's manor, but for you, father, I will endure all the pain. Nan Fong was silent for a moment. Nan Luo was timid and somewhat useless, but she would not lie. This was something he could still understand as her father. Moreover, Feng Ruqing was indeed bad-natured and jealous, and it was normal for her not to allow Nan Luo to approach Nan Xian. However, Nan Luo had failed the mission he gave her, and he would not accept any excuse to cover up her uselessness. Me for extra chapters. If I let you go to sea again, can you make her like you again? Nan Fong asked coldly. Nan Luo raised her head in shock. Father, Aunt Sui hates me now. I have no way to make her like me again. Moreover, Feng Ruqing has woken up, so it's hard to approach Aunt Sui again. Nan Luo, do you know that you can change your body? Change my body. Nan Luo was dumbfounded. Isn't this something that only the powerful, skilled masters can do? What does father mean by this? I plan to let you take over a body and change your body to find Sui. At that instant, Nan Luo's face was pale. She knew that to change her body, she must die first. Father. Nan Luo panicked, kowtowing on the ground. I don't want to die. Please don't kill me. I can just change my face and go to Aunt Sui again. Idiot. Nan Fong kicked her fiercely. With Feng Ruching and Tianya's ability, won't they notice you? Only changing the whole body can give you the chance to get close to them. Nan Luo fell to the ground helplessly. She raised her head to look at Nan Fong, her face showing despair. Father, I am your daughter. How can you do this to me? Am I even your daughter? Nan Luo's voice cracked. Just because you're my daughter, I want to help you. You like Nan Xian, right? Why don't you change your identity and approach him again? Nan Fong looked down at the young girl on the ground coldly. Nan Luo looked down and laughed bitterly. I do like him, but I do not want to give up my life for this reason. Even after I change my identity and approach him again, the ending will never change. He already has Feng Ruching. Father, don't you understand this? Is there such a thing as a faithful man that will never cheat in this world? All men are the same. You failed, and it means that your ability is not enough. If you were capable, you would be his wife by now. Nan Luo looked up at Nan Fong, trembling. Nan Fang's eyes filled with so much terror that her heart was shivering as she faced him. Father, I still don't want to die, even for his sake. I don't want to die. Nan Luo lowered her head. She had always thought that she was Nan Fang's daughter, and no matter how much Nan Fong favored men over women, she would not be treated too badly. However, the punishment she received in the past 2 years had long made her disheartened. Perhaps Suyi was right at the beginning, she should leave the Nan family. At least, she would not live worse than a dog. It was already too late to regret. Me for extra chapters. A person who could even poison his adoptive father, such a person. Could he be considered a human? It is not up to you. Nan Fong raised his hand and grabbed Nan Luo fiercely. His face was cold as he said, Nan Luo, you must obey me this time. Otherwise, your life will be worse than this past 2 years. Moreover, I found someone for you. Guard, bring her in. The guard pushed a girl into the room. The girl was so beautiful that no words could describe her beauty. Her skin was as fair as snow, but her hair was a bit messy, covering her face. However, just looking at her side profile was enough to make people's hearts flutter. Nan Luo's lips trembled as she looked up at Nan Fong. Father, she, a member of Nine Gate. Chapter 1890, The person behind Nan Fong 4-inch. I won't give you a second chance. Nan Luo looked up in a panic. Nan Fong gave her no chance to speak and grabbed her neck with one hand. He snapped Nan Luo's neck hard, and she fell to the ground unconscious. The people who followed Nan Fong were stunned. They had always known that their master was a cruel man, but this was his daughter, yet, he was so cruel to his daughter. Perhaps, in the Nan family, only the young master, Nan Feiyu, could soften Nan Fang's heart. Everyone else was just a tool for him to use. However, no one knew that even the young master was also his tool. The only thing was that this tool still had great use, so of course, Nan Fong would treat him well. If the young master were useless one day, Nan Fong would throw him away, and his life would be no different from the garbage. At least, Wei Rong sincerely cared for her son. Get rid of her body, and then put this woman to a room to let her rest. When she wakes up, the soul that resides in her body will become Nan Luo. Nan Luo should thank me for giving her this opportunity. If Nan Luo could have this woman's face, she wouldn't have been treated coldly by Nan Xian. She failed to seduce Nan Xian because she wasn't good enough. Nan Fong loved beauty, so there were no men who would not fall for beauty in his mind. It was like the first time he saw beautiful Suyi. He could not forget her, and he had to get her with all his efforts. Even if it was only for a short time. It was enough. Yes, master. The guards looked somewhat scared of Nan Fong. They did not even see that the moment they left, Nan Fong was staring at them coldly. After everyone had disappeared, an indistinct figure stood behind Nan Fong. This person was dressed in black, indescribably weird and cold. Nan Fong turned to look at the man in black behind him and asked, "What do I need to do next?" The man in black laughed coldly. "What comes next, I'll tell you later, Anne. It's not easy to deal with Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian, me for extra chapters." "Why?" "I feel that her strength is no better than Tianya." "Why do you think they are the most difficult people to deal with?" "Why?" The man in black sneered. "Of course, it's because of the Ninth Emperor and Nan Chongfeng. Back then, he managed to gather everyone and attacked Nan Chongfeng to force the Ninth Emperor out. In that battle, they did seriously injure Nan Chongfeng and even killed him. However, it was also because of that battle, all of them suffered serious losses. The Ninth Emperor was like a madman. She stained the entire mainland with blood. Only strong men could conquer this mainland, and they had always bullied the weak one until the appearance of the Ninth Emperor. She always liked to meddle. Once, his men had merely killed an innocent, and this madman locked them in the sculpture. He had to stay inside a brick for so many years. Chapter 1891. The person behind Nan Fong Vichy moved the sculpture to the man's grave, even set up a formation that could not let other people in, and made him kneel in front of that grave for 1,000 years. The commoners regarded her as a god. However, to him, this madman was a devil. Even after they gathered countless skilled masters to kill her several times, she was too strong, they failed to defeat her. In the end, they killed Nan Chongfeng but caused all the powerful, skilled masters in this mainland to die in her hands. Feng Ruqing is not something you can mess with. For the time being, you should hide and not start any conflict with Tianya, the man in black said coldly. Nan Fong froze. He really wanted to rush out and fight with Tianya when that old man screamed and cursed outside his city, but the man behind him forbade him from going out. However, this man was quite powerful. 2 years ago, during Nan Feiyu's inheritance test, this man made Nan Feiyu inherit 1/10 of Nan Changfeng's power. Just this 1/10 was enough for him to prove to the world that his son was the reincarnation of Nan Chongfeng. All of this was all because of this man. Nan Fong pondered for a moment and asked, "When will all the inheritance left behind by Nan Chongfeng be inherited by my son?" The man in black sneered, "You don't have to think about this matter yet. Your son is not the reincarnation of Nan Chongfeng after all, so I don't have any other way for the time being." Nan Fong sighed with some disappointment but did not say more. He pondered for a short while and asked, "Can Nan Luo enter Tianya's manor again this time?" "If she wants to enter Tianya's manor, she has to stay away from the two people, Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian. Otherwise, she will easily be discovered by them." The man in black was silent for a moment before he slowly spoke again. "Well, I will take care of her. If there is nothing more, I will go out first. We will discuss it again after Nan Luo has woken up." After Nan Fong said that, he walked out of the study room in large strides. The man in black stared at Nan Fang's back as he left, and his figure gradually disappeared into the wooden room. Nan Chongfeng. The Ninth Emperor. After 1,000 years, I don't know if you guys still remember me. Me for extra chapters. And this time, not only Nan Chongfeng, all those who are related to you. All will die. I will not give you the chance to come back to this world. Meanwhile, all the people in Nint Gate were busy with a lot of work. They had to deal with Tianya and think of ways to get close to Nan Qiyu. More importantly, Hui Yan's daughter had disappeared. She was his only child. Just as Nine Gate was anxious about this, Maiden Huiyu suddenly appeared on her own. After hearing the news, Hui Yen hurried out, and from afar, he saw the girl standing at the doorway. His eyes were red, and he hurriedly rushed toward her. Where have you been? Who has taken you away? Tell father. Father will go to settle accounts with him. The young girl looked up in a daze, her gaze blanked and dumbfounded as she stared at the old man in front of her. Yes, the one standing in front of her was an old man. Hui Yan had a daughter quite late in life, but he loved her and pampered her. His heart was quietly relieved as he saw her safe and sound. However, if he knew who had taken his daughter away, he would never forgive them. Huiyu was a little lost, and she regained her sense after seeing the old man's concerned eyes. Her voice was hoarse, and she hesitated for a long while before she managed to say a few words. "I'm fine, it's good that you're fine." The old man's eyes teared as he went forward and pulled the young girl into his arms. The young girl's face was pale, but Hui Yen did not ask anything more. He called his men, "Take the young lady to rest. Prepare some meals for the young lady, and then bathe her well. She looks dirty." The young girl's body stiffened for a moment and subconsciously grabbed the old man's sleeve. Such care was something she had never enjoyed in all these years. The only feeling she had was the fear of death. She had thought that all the daughters in this world were treated like her until she met Feng Ruqing and the people of Nine Gate. The young girl pursed her lips and shook her head. "No, I can do it myself." "What nonsense. Let these servants serve you. When have you ever done anything yourself?" The old man looked confused. The young girl trembled slightly, she pursed her lips. How nice it would be to be like this for the rest of your life. She also wanted someone to love her and spoil her. So when she saw Sui back then, it was like seeing hope. That was why she tried every possible way to get Sui to marry her father. However, in the end, she still failed to make Sui like her, me for extra chapters. The young girl looked at the old man's concerned eyes. However, just at this moment, she inexplicably remembered Nan Fang's words before letting her go. She trembled a little and hurriedly lowered her head. No, I can't rely on him. If this time she did not complete the task, Nan Fang would expose her, and Nine Gate would never let her go. Thinking of this, the young girl raised her eyes and smiled gently. "All right, father." Hui Yen subconsciously sighed with relief. He felt weird because his daughter used to be lazy and never did anything on her own. But why did she say she wanted to do something herself now? She must have suffered a lot. The servant helped the young girl to leave. The old man's face sank. He then shouted coldly, "Guard, find out who kidnapped my daughter. Even if she has returned, I will not let anyone who bullied her go." "Yes, Your Holiness." The two guards following the old man cupped their fists respectfully and retreated. Hui Yen clenched his fists tightly as his breathing grew heavy. He did not know what kind of hardship his daughter had endured outside, but now, she had changed a bit and was not as lively as before. Before this, she would have jumped into his arms for comfort after being away for days. But this time, she was different. She was quiet, making him more angry and heartbroken. Nine Gates. Inside a luxurious room, Nan Luo's fingers brushed across the table as she walked toward the bed. She looked somewhat amazed. In Land of No Return, the Nan family's status was not lower than Nine Gate. And she was the eldest young lady of the Nan family. Her status was also equal to Huiyu. But, what they had here was indeed different from the Nan family. "Please let me out. Let me out." Within her soul, another voice came. It was filled with endless grief, weak, and almost inaudible. Nan Luo looked down and tried to shut the voice. The pain of death resurfaced in her mind, causing her to tremble in fear. You better stay there silently and wait for your death. Indeed, only one soul could exist in a body. The current Huiyu was not completely gone yet. Nan Luo opened her eyes slowly. These 2 years of life were like a nightmare. If she returned to the Nan family, Nan Fong would be even crueler to her. Therefore, she could not return to the Nan family. In the future, she would have only one identity, the daughter of the venerable Hui Yen of Nine Gate, Huiyu. Please, don't hurt any people at Nine Gate. Please, the voice continued, annoying Nan Luo. Shut up. I'm now a member of Nine Gate. How can I hurt Nine Gate? But everything you have is already mine. Nan Luo smiled. This smile was so cold, and she no longer had a timid look. No one knew there was evil hidden beneath this innocent face. The voice finally did not speak again, and Nan Luo felt that the whole sky was finally quiet. The sound of the door opening from outside the door made her slowly turn around. She saw a servant entering. Young lady, this is the meal prepared for you by His Holiness, me for extra chapters. A whole long tray of delicious food was carried into the room by the servants and respectfully placed in front of her. Nan Luo had never been treated like this when she was in the Nan family. Often, the only one who had this kind of treatment was Nan Feiyu. So after experiencing this, her heart was quite touched. Perhaps it would be nice if she could stay in Nine Gate forever. For a moment, this thought sprang up in Nan Luo's heart, causing her to be startled for a moment. She lowered her head, covering the shock behind her eyes. She pursed her lips and said, "You guys can leave now." "Yes, young lady." The servants put the meals on the table and left the room. Nan Luo stared at the table full of delicious meals, and her heart trembled slightly. No. I won't be able to stay here in peace. That bastard Nan Fong will never let me go. Nan Luo bit her lip hard. If she wanted to stay, she had to get rid of Nan Fong. Perhaps Nan Fong did not know that once a person's heart had been betrayed, she would no longer be submissive to him. If there were enough opportunity, she would still betray him. General manner. Tianya rushed in, and from afar, he saw the woman standing in the courtyard. His eyes were red, and tears appeared in his eyes. Chinger. The woman looked up, and her gaze fell upon Tianya's pale face. After 2 years of not seeing him, Tianya was even older than before. His white hair made her heart ache. Chapter 1894. He's still jealous. The woman looked and immediately saw Tianya, who was standing not far away. She was slightly stunned and said with a smile, "You're back." "Yes. I'm back." Tianya's eyes were moist. He could not believe that he would see his granddaughter again so soon. He raised his hand, wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, and smiled faintly. "I'm glad you're fine." He finally could say these words, which he had been waiting to say for 2 long years. The stone hovering over his heart finally fell away. Little Nine. Big Black rushed toward Feng Ruching with eyes filled with tears. Suddenly, a cold aura stopped him before he could get close to Feng Ruching, sending chills down his spine. Big Black transformed into a young man in the sky, looking at Feng Ruching with sad eyes. "Nan Xian, don't scare him for now. I need him to help me." Feng Ruching smiled at Nan Xian gently, then turned his gaze to Big Black. "Big Black, I heard that your blood could temporarily seal the demon inside a human's body." Big Black was created from the surrounding spiritual qi, so his blood contained powerful spiritual energy, which had many powerful effects. The young man blinked. "Fu Chen told you, right? Little Nine, has someone been possessed by a demon?" "Well, it's Chainer." Tianya stared blankly at Feng Ruching, has our family received a guest. And he is possessed by a demonic spirit. Feng Ruqing froze. She looked up at Tianya and pondered for a moment. Has no one told you that you have a grandson? Tianya rubbed his head and was a little hesitant as he said, it seems like someone has mentioned it, but I don't really remember. Feng Ruqing was speechless. Tianya looked at Feng Ruqing and asked, do you need my help? She shook her head. No need for the time being. Big Black can help me. Grandfather, I think. It's time to settle the score with the Nan family and Nine Gate. I need you to prepare for this, me for extra chapters. She suddenly had a feeling that their peaceful days would not last long. Tianya looked down. He did not see Nan Fong when he went to Nan City with Big Black. That bastard was like a shrinking turtle, hiding in Nan City and not coming out. Chinger, the current situation of Nan City is a bit complicated now. They have set up several formations to guard the city gate. Some of the skilled masters who attacked us back then are hiding in Nan City. I think it's not that easy to attack them. Formations. Feng Ruqing stroked her chin, a cold light flashed in her eyes. When the time comes, I'll go and take a look. Big Black, come with me. Chainer is still waiting for us. Oh, all right. The young man glared at Nan Xian. Humph. So what if little Nine is yours now? She still needs me, and there are some things that only I can do for her. Chinger, Nan Xian looked at Big Black and smiled faintly. He then walked toward Feng Ruqing. I'm with you. He wrapped his arm around her waist and glanced at Big Black coldly. Big Black froze, clenching his fists tightly. At this moment, he had to admit that he was still jealous of Nan Xian. I can't wait to break this bastard into pieces and snatch little Nine back. Nan Fong, I don't care who's behind you. You can't escape from me again, and I won't ever give up till I find you. Ever since Feng Ruqing brought Big Black to treat Feng Qin, they had not left the room since 3 days ago. Feng Qin had just returned, but he was the young master of General Manor. Of course, everyone in General Manor was so worried about him. Even Xia Xia sat at the door waiting for them for 3 days. She placed her hand on her cheek, looking at the closed door unblinkingly. Until 3 days later, the door was slowly opened. Feng Ruqing walked out, her face was calm, expressionless. However, seeing her calm expression, everyone understood that she had succeeded. Shao Qing, Tang Yin walked toward Feng Ruqing, and her face was filled with joy. Did you succeed? Yes, Feng Ruqing nodded slightly. We have sealed the demon, but Chainer suffered a lot of injuries, and he still doesn't know anyone else besides me. But now we don't need to worry about him getting sick again. Even if I'm not here, it's still safe. As for getting rid of it completely, that would be somewhat difficult. Sealing the demon was quite simple. Either Nan Xian or Feng Ruqing could do it. However, the demon had almost taken over all of his body and his heart. Only with Big Black's blood could help him regain his control over his body. Big Black followed behind Feng Ruqing, pouting. I've lost almost a spoonful of blood this time. Little Nine must help me replenish my energy. Feng Ruqing paused for a moment. Big Black has great blood, and its meat is also a great tonic. I still remember when Mu Ling was trying to help Chen Qingyan catch Big Black back then. The day she met Big Black, Mu Ling happened to be there, but she knew that Nan Xian was following her, so she left early, leaving only the Mu family behind. Really? Me for extra chapters? Xia Xia's eyes lit up. She turned to Big Black, subconsciously swallowed her saliva that almost flowed out. Big Black trembled as he took a few steps back. Little girl, my meat is not tasty. It's bitter. Oh, Xia Xia smiled. Now Uncle Dragon is in human form, Xia Xia will not eat people, but when Uncle turns into a dragon, I will eat your meat. Big Black froze. He would never turn into a dragon again. Little Nine, don't let this little girl and Ching Han play with each other. Look at this girl. She wants to eat everything. Big Black huffed and puffed. Feng Ruching smiled faintly. She raised her hand and touched Xia Xia's small head, then looked at Big Black. You're not a real dragon. Big Black was the surrounding spiritual qi that transformed into a dragon, and he was not really a dragon. Feng Ruching turned to Tang Yin and asked, where is grandfather? Tang Yin blinked. In the study room. He's been waiting for you. All right, Feng Ruching smiled, Tang Yin, because of the last incident, you and my cousin's wedding did not go on as we planned. We will reorganize it then, but I have to settle the Nan family first. Tang Yin was stunned. Her cheeks were slightly red as Nailan Jing's face suddenly appeared in her mind. She shook her head and said, I do not want to marry him. I want to be with Shao Qing. In that instant, Nan Xian glanced at Tang Yin coldly, causing Tang Yin to shut her mouth suddenly. Oh, so this dog will not allow me to go near Shao Qing, then I will be her cousin's sister-in-law. In the future, Gui and I will be his elders. I want to see how he will drive us away. Feng Ruching smiled, did not stay any longer, and went to the study room with Nan Xian. Inside the study room, Tianya frowned as if he was thinking of something serious. The door pushed open. He looked up and saw two familiar figures pushing open the door and walking in. Tianya stood up and smiled as he walked toward them. Qinger, Nan Xian, you've come out. Back when he first met Feng Ruching, he was very disapproving of this kid, Nan Xian. After all, he had not even met his granddaughter yet, and she had already married someone, so it was a little upsetting to think about it. However, over time, he could gradually accept Nan Xian. Moreover, Nan Xian had sacrificed a lot when Feng Ruching was unconscious for 2 years. Even his hair had become as white as snow. When are we going to find the Nan family? Feng Ruching lowered her gaze. The Nan family had not only tried to hurt Sui, but they were the real culprit who had spread the news about Tang Yin, inciting the battle in general manner 2 years ago. The old and new grudges would be settled together. There have been some changes in Land of No Return in these few days. Do you still remember Spirit Beast Mountain? Spirit Beast Mountain was where Feng Ruching went when she first came to Land of No Return. Me for extra chapters. And that was the place she had met the group of leopards. What happened to Spirit Beast Mountain? Recently, the spirit beasts on Spirit Beast Mountain all seem to be crazy. I suspect that Nan Fong must have done something to them. The Nan family has controlled all the spirit beasts in Land of No Return. The old Master Nan said that Nan Fong has a drug that can make people confused. He is relying on this drug to get the spirit beasts. The spirit beasts had always been arrogant, and it was hard to tame them. Because of the drug in his hands, he could control those spirit beasts and use them as his slaves. Nan Fong was also called a godlike figure by the Nan family. What else does Nan Fong need these spirit beasts for? Feng Ruching frowned. Initially, Nan Fong was weak, and he needed the spirit beasts to consolidate his power, but now that he had reached this level, he should not require the spirit beast. I'm not sure. Maybe. He feels that all the spirit beasts belong to him, and he does not want others to have them. Tianya sneered. Feng Ruching lowered her gaze. The spirit beasts don't belong to anyone. They have the right to choose their master. Feng Ruching had never forced the spirit beasts to work with her. She only used some offer of benefits to tempt them. It was equivalent to an employment relationship, which later developed into a master-servant relationship. However, if any spirit beast wanted to leave, she would not stop them. Every spirit beast had the right to choose for itself. I don't know much about the details. Spirit Beast Mountain is not safe now, many people have been attacked there, and if I'm not mistaken, Nan Fong is hiding something in Spirit Beast Mountain. That's why he had driven all the spirit beasts crazy to stop others from approaching Spirit Beast Mountain. She was a member of Nine Gate. Yet, Feng Ruqing still trusted her. This feeling of trust warmed her heart. Moreover, Feng Ruqing paused. I believe in grandfather. He had such a good relationship with you before proves that you're a good woman. Qiu Hui was speechless. Maiden Feng, have you forgotten about Feng Lianqing? Tianya had taken Feng Lianqing in. She looked quiet, and no one would have expected that she would cause so much trouble in the end. Mother, Xia Xia pounced over and hugged Feng Ruqing's thighs. She looked at her without blinking. Are you and father going out again? Feng Ruqing looked down at the little girl in front of her, smiled, and stroked her small head. Well, this time, we have some things we need to take care of. Xia Xia, just listen to your Aunt Qiu at home. We'll be back soon. Oh, Xia Xia was a little lost, her eyes were full of reluctance. Father and mother, you must come back as soon as possible. I'll wait for you at home. Feng Ruqing did not say more, she turned to look at Nan Xian and smiled. Nan Xian, we can go now. Nan Xian nodded. He reached out and pulled Feng Ruqing into his arms. Let's go, don't let them wait too long. Si and Tianya got ready quickly, and now they were probably ready to leave. Tang Yin appeared behind Feng Ruqing. She bit her lip and stood silent for a few seconds before walking up to Feng Ruqing. Shao Qing, can I go with you? Feng Ruqing was slightly stunned. She turned to look at Tang Yin, pondered for a while. You and Xiaoye stay here. I need more people in General Manor to protect Xia Xia. Don't worry. We won't go for too long this time. We'll be back soon. Oh, Tang Yin pouted. At such a time, she wanted to accompany Feng Ruqing. However, she understood that with her strength, even if she went, she would only be a burden to Feng Ruqing. Tang Yin clenched her fists tightly, she became more determined. Previously, she had never thought of trying to cultivate, and even the Tang family did not allow her to cultivate. However, after she met Feng Ruqing, she somewhat understood how important it was to be strong and not only rely on others. If she were stronger now, she would have already followed Feng Ruqing and fought with her, rather than watching her from behind. Me for extra chapters. Xiaoye opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but she stopped herself. Don't worry. You can leave this place to us. Her voice was beautiful. That one accident had made her shed her scarred skin and regained her voice. Feng Ruqing nodded slightly, she looked at Xia Xia with some reluctance, and finally turned toward the main gate. Xia Xia stared at Feng Ruqing, and she somehow felt a sense of unease in her heart. Her eyes were wet with tears. Xia Xia, Qiu Hui squatted and said gently, don't worry, they will be back soon. I will take care of you during this time. Xia Xia nodded. She understood that this time her parents would do something very important. Even if she did not want them to leave, she could not stop them. After all, she had to be a good and obedient child so that her mother would love her more. In Spirit Beast Mountain. The entire mountain looked desolate. The leopard clan followed Feng Ruqing into this place again, and they were all quite heartbroken. After all, this mountain was where they had lived for many years, but now it had become so desolate and lifeless. From afar, They could already sense powerful energy hidden within Spirit Beast Mountain, and they could not help but walk more cautiously. Enriching brought Hua and other leopards with her because they were more familiar with this mountain terrain, so it was convenient to make any move. The old master Nan once mentioned that Nan Fong was using a drug to make the spirit beasts lose their minds and finally obey him. I guess, Enriching frowned. He has probably used a root from an enchanted tree to make the drug. The enchanted tree was an ancient tree that grew in the deepest part of Spirit Beast Mountain. It was rumored that anyone who got close to this tree would be mentally affected and lose their sanity. Enriching did not know how Nan Fong had obtained it, but she had a way to remove its effect. I have prepared some spirit herbs here. I will use the spirit herbs to boil the soup. Hua, you think of a way to lure all the spirit beasts here and make them drink the soup. It can help them regain their senses. I'm afraid only these spirit beasts know what happened in Spirit Beast Mountain. Yes, Master, Hua answered obediently and left with the leopards. Enriching took out all the pots and pans and used the tree branches to light a fire and set the pot on top of the tree branches. Nan Xian, Tianya, and the others stood quietly, listening to the movements around them. Only the sound of the wind whistling passed, but that powerful oppressive energy did not dissipate. A few minutes later, a faint aroma wafted out of the pot. Wild footsteps came from not far away. Enriching looked up and saw that the leopards were chased by a group of spirit beasts behind them. Me for extra chapters. The group of spirit beasts looked fierce with red eyes and open mouths, ready to bite. Fortunately, the leopards were very fast and dodged the bites. Enriching was stunned. She had asked the leopard to lure the spirit beasts over, and it seemed that the way they had lured them over was not very friendly. She felt that these spirit beasts were ready to tear the leopard apart. However, when the group of spirit beasts approached, a refreshing aroma forced them to stop in their tracks. The Nan family was very petty. They thought that these spirit beasts had been bewitched and could never betray them. Therefore, they would rarely feed the spirit beasts and mostly leave them to eat some leaves and fruits in the forests. When they smelled this tempting aroma, all the spirit beasts could not help but walk toward the pot. A wolf ran the fastest. That wolf looked a bit like a snow wolf. It rushed straight to the pot, and out came its tongue to lick the herbal soup inside the pot. The other spirit beasts also came forward and tried to get some of the soup, afraid that they would not have a chance to taste it. This group of spirit beasts quickly lapped up the whole pot of herbal soup. They were like wolves seeing meat, eyes were flashing with madness. Once the spirit beasts drank the herbal soup, they were no longer as hungry as before and no longer chased the leopard. They turned around and wanted to leave. But just at this moment, the wolf that was the first to drink the soup suddenly fell to the ground and let out a wailing sound. Howl! This sound was so miserable that it seemed to have a chain effect, and the other spirit beasts were also in pain and could not stand up, as if their internal organs were in severe pain. When the leopard saw such a miserable situation, it subconsciously trembled and took a few steps back. Master said she wanted to help the spirit beasts regain their senses. But why does it look like she's trying to kill them? Time passed. The sky was already dark. The group of spirit beasts was much better. They spat mouthfuls of dirty blood. Their eyes were no longer red and had become as clear as water. Hua, you go and lure all the other spirit beasts over again. I'll prepare another batch of soup. Yes, Master. Hua howled and led the leopard group toward the depths of Spirit Beast Mountain, Nan Manor. Within the majestic study room, Nan Fang's expression was cold as he listened to the report from his men. He slowly stood up and said expressionlessly, Tianya went to Spirit Beast Mountain. Ha ha ha. They have a death wish. I already know about that. How is Nan Luo doing in Nine Gate? Master, the people of Nine Gate did not suspect anything. She is being treated very well there. The old man's voice trembled a little when he said this. He had witnessed how Nan Fong killed Nan Luo and how she was reborn by taking the girl's body. If he could do such a ruthless thing to his daughter. No one knew what would happen to the people in this mainland if he ruled Land of No Return. Me for extra chapters. Initially, the Nan family enjoyed the help that Nan Fong brought to them. The Nan family could have a powerful spirit beast on hand because of him, and no other forces dared to mess with the Nan family again. Moreover, the young master of the Nan family, Nan Feiyu, was also the reincarnation of their great ancestor. The Nan family soon would regain their glory. However, later, he noticed that Nan Fong was crueler than he thought. It made people scared of him. Nan Fang's face was expressionless. Watch Nan Luo carefully. We can't allow her to have any chance to betray us again. If she dares to do so, just bring her back, and they'll get someone else in. The old man trembled and lowered his head. Nan Fong sneered. She has betrayed me once before. Of course, you'll be more careful with this girl. I've treated my daughter well. After all, when she is 9 Gate, she can enjoy what she cannot enjoy in the Nan family, and this kind of opportunity, I will not give to others. The old man was silent. Perhaps young lady does not want such an opportunity. What she wanted more was to live well, but master was so determined that no one could persuade him and stop him from killing her daughter. Yes, master, the old man replied respectfully. You can go now. He waved his hand indifferently, his face expressionless. The old man turned around and left the study room. Nine Gate. In the middle of the quiet courtyard, the young girl stood in front of the window, stretched out her fingers, and allowed a flying bird to land on her fingertips. She then withdrew her hand and turned to the servant, who was serving her smilingly. Give the menu I want today to the kitchen. Yes, young lady. The servant led the order and retreated. Once all the servants left, the smile on the young girl's face suddenly disappeared. She grabbed the bird's beak and pulled out a slip of paper from its mouth. The slip of paper was very thin and long, and it was stained with the bird's saliva. The young girl's face changed dramatically after she saw what was written on the white paper. In a few days, make sure that the people of Nine Gate go to Spirit Beast Mountain. If you fail to do so, you will be responsible for the consequences. This handwriting was too familiar to the young girl, and she lowered her gaze to cover the hatred in her eyes. But after hearing the sound of footsteps outside the door, she thought no more. A flame appeared from her palm, and she quickly burnt the note and cleaned the ashes. Creak. The door of the room was pushed open. Hui Yan walked in through the door smilingly. He glanced at the bird in the young girl's hand and did not react to it. How are you today? Nan Luo smiled faintly. Father, I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. Good, Hui Yan touched her head as he smiled warmly. Can you tell father who kidnapped you? Nan Luo panicked a little. She lowered her head and looked somewhat sad. Hui Yan's heart ached, and he could not bear to press on again. It's fine if you don't want to say it. I will go and find out by myself. No one can bully my daughter. At that moment, Hui Yan's words hit Nan Luo's heart hard. She raised her head, and tears welled up in her eyes. What's wrong? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Do you want a physician to take a look? Nan Luo wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and lowered her head. Me for extra chapters. I'm fine. I'll be fine after resting for a while. How great would it be if Hui Yan is my father? No one had cared about her. Except Sui. Even though Sui said nothing, she still saved her from her mother's punishment. But then, why did Sui suddenly hate her? Nan Luo bit her lip hard, sobbing in her heart. If only there were no phone reaching, Sui would not have misunderstood her, and she would not have suffered like today. However, compared to phone reaching, the person she wanted to destroy more than anything else was Nan Fong. Father, Nan Luo raised her head. It's not that I don't want to talk about it. Actually, I don't remember what happened to me. But I remember a place called Spirit Beast Mountain. Spirit Beast Mountain. Hui Yen fell silent. He had heard about the strange thing that happened in Spirit Beast Mountain this past few days. However, he was busy with her daughter and had no time to care about others. Could it be that the person who kidnapped Yuer has something to do with Spirit Beast Mountain? Hui Yen looked down. It looks like I have to send my 9 gate to Spirit Beast Mountain. Nine Gate. A burst of anger surged in Feng Rooking's heart. She would never forget how Nine Gate had tried to abduct her daughter. She almost lost Xia Xia, and it was all because of Nine Gate. Feng Rooking's heart was burning with anger as she looked at the people from Nine Gate with eyes filled with murderous intent. Nan Xian looked up and glanced at them coldly. Your daughter. Tianya sneered. He glanced at Nan Luo coldly. With just one glance, he already had a bad feeling about this girl. He had seen Huiyu before, but he did not feel this way. This time, he did not know what was wrong that made him feel uncomfortable with this girl around him. Mother, Fu Chen's soft voice came from the medium. There's something familiar about that woman's scent. Feng Ruqing was slightly stunned. She frowned as she looked at Huiyu. Are you sure? Yes, her breath is not emitted by the body. I can feel the breath of her soul. Very familiar, as if I had seen her somewhere, but I can't remember. Fu Chen was a bit distressed. He had met so many people these years, so it was really difficult to figure out why this breath would make him feel familiar. There's something wrong with this woman. Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian looked at each other. Even though they did not yet know why her scent was familiar, but Fu Chen had said so, then they must have seen her before. Only this face was indeed unfamiliar, yes. Hui Yan's face was cold. My daughter has lost some memories. I brought her here to find her memories again. Tianya, I hope what has happened to my daughter has nothing to do with you. Otherwise, I will definitely not let you go. Ha, me for extra chapters. Tianya laughed sarcastically. You think I would let you go? Tianya laughed again. You tried to snatch Xia Xia back then. I never had time to settle this score with you, but do you think I have already forgotten or didn't dare to find you? He had never forgotten the hatred. It was only because there were too many things going on during this period that he did not have the time to take revenge. He had been overwhelmed by anger after what Nan Fong had done to General Manor and only wanted to settle accounts with the Nan family. But after the Nan family, Nine Gate would be next. Hui Yen sneered. She can only be better trained if she is in Nine Gate. We are doing it for her good, but you don't understand anything and stubbornly insist on limiting her future. Feng Ruqing suddenly stepped forward. The woman's eyes were cold and her face expressionless. Xia Xia's future. Her future will be ruined by Nine Gate. Just like your daughter, so weak. Where is her future? How dare you? Hui Yen was furious. Feng Ruqing smirked. Or, can you consider leaving her with me for the sake of her future? You, Hui Yen pointed at Feng Ruqing angrily. Tianya, your granddaughter is so vicious that she wants to snatch my daughter. Ridiculous. Tianya looked at Hui Yen coldly. So you're not vicious if you want to snatch our xia, but my granddaughter is vicious when she only says a word? The people from Nine Gate are really powerful, making me admire them to the core. Tianya laughed sarcastically and clapped his hands. Boom! Hui Yan's eyes were red, and his entire body emitted a cold aura. Nan Xian walked up to Feng Ruqing and stood next to her. Father, suddenly, a soft voice came from the side, causing Hui Yan's cold aura to fade away. We came here to make me recall what happened, so don't take it too seriously with them. It's late now. Can we also camp here? She smiled warmly. Immediately, Hui Yan's anger subsided, and he glanced at Tianya and the others. For the sake of my daughter, I will not bother with you today. Your word does not count here. Tianya laughed out coldly. However, just as he was about to strike, Feng Ruqing suddenly raised his hand and stopped him. Tianya froze and turned to look at Feng Ruqing, his gaze blank. Qing'er, I'm tired. Let's rest first. We'll talk about other things later. Faced with Feng Ruqing's decision, Tianya was puzzled. However, he understood that Feng Ruqing must have her reason, so he did not say more. He grunted coldly and walked toward the tent. Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian glanced at the crowd for the last time and left. Hui Yan turned away from them and looked at Hui Yu with a much gentler look. Yue, let's stay away from these people. We don't know what they will do in secret. Alright, me for extra chapters. The young girl lowered her head and smiled faintly, hiding the cold light in her eyes. Tianya sat down inside the tent, stared at Feng Ruqing in front of him, and asked. Qing'er, tell me. What's going on? Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian looked at each other before looking at Tianya. That girl called Hui Yu. Something is familiar about her. Familiar? Yes. Fuchen told me that her scent is familiar, but I'm sure that I haven't seen her before, so... I want to know what she wants from us. Tianya was slightly stunned, and the doubt in his gaze grew even more. Nan Xian smiled and said, I also feel something weird about her. Her breath makes me very uncomfortable. It was not only Feng Ruqing who felt this way, even Nan Xian felt the same. Tianya pondered for a moment. Hui Yan does have a daughter. His wife died in childbirth, so he loves his daughter so much. If you said there's something wrong with that girl, what should we do now? Wait. Feng Ruqing frowned. I feel that she will come to me. Tianya stood up, panicked. Then, you can't meet her again. He must not put his granddaughter in danger. Feng Ruqing smiled and shook her head. Don't worry. She can't hurt me. I need to find out who she is. Even if we secretly kill her, maybe there will be other conspiracies behind the scenes. So now, we can only wait for her to reveal her identity, and I feel like all this is related to the Nan family. The Nan family. Indeed. Feng Ruqing smiled faintly and said, how is the relationship between the Nan Fang and Nine Gate these days? Tianya pondered for a short while. I don't know what happened between them. Before this, both of them had reunited. I recently heard that there's a conflict between them, and they have lost contact since. Maybe Nine Gate can't bear with Nan Fang's evil behavior. Tianya sneered. If the Nan family is evil, then what about Nine Gate? They're just the same. One has lost his morality and killed people recklessly, while the other one has tried to separate a mother with her daughter. Therefore, he did not feel good about both Nine Gate and the Nan family. It's getting late, Feng Ruqing raised his eyebrows. State Preceptor, I'm going to wait for Hui Yu. You stay here with my grandfather. Nan Xian frowned. I'll join you. No, Feng Ruqing shook her head. If you are there, she will not appear. I can feel that she is coming for me. Nan Xian stared at Feng Ruqing, and after half a second, he nodded gently. All right. If something happens, just call for me, and I'll be there instantly. She won't dare to make any move because Hui Yan is here, and with her strength, there's nothing to be worried about. Nan Xian smiled faintly. Feng Ruqing did not stay, she turned and walked toward her tent. The night in Spirit Beast Mountain was very quiet, even the spirit beasts had returned to their territory to rest. Feng Ruqing entered her tent, she lay down to rest. The moonlight poured in from outside the tent and fell upon her body. Suddenly, a sound of footsteps came from outside the tent. Feng Ruqing slowly opened her eyes and smirked. It looks like she has really come to find me. As expected, the tent's flap was lifted, and a young girl in a long green dress stood under the moonlight. Me for extra chapters. She smiled gently. Maiden Feng Ruqing sat up from the bed and asked with a faint smile, "You have come to see me?" Yes, Nan Luo slowly stepped inside the tent. I heard that Tianya has been fighting against the Nan family recently, but this Nan family is not so easy to deal with. I wonder if Maiden Feng would like to join hands with me. Join hands? Feng Ruqing sneered. Nine Gate wants to steal my daughter, and do you think I would still want to work with Nine Gate? Nan Luo smiled. I can apologize on behalf of Nine Gate. My father has always listened to me, and I can also guarantee that such things will not happen again. And then? Feng Ruqing smirked. What do you want us to do? It's simple. Join hands with me and exterminate the Nan family. A flash of hatred flashed behind Nan Luo's eyes. She wanted to destroy the Nan family so she could stay in Nine Gate forever and never have to be threatened again. What if? Feng Ruqing frowned. I refuse to. Nan Luo smiled and walked toward Feng Ruqing. Maiden Feng, you have no choice now. After all, you don't want Nine Gate to unite with the Nan family. You can see that my father will always obey me. I hope you will think about it again. Feng Ruqing was stunned. Obey you? A biological daughter would never say such words about her father. This girl had confidently and arrogantly said that her father would always obey her. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.